ARC Prep is our program that we launched. It's now in its 7th year. We're starting its 7th year, and it was launched as a collaboration with the Detroit Public School Department. And it's an active studio in Detroit that offers high school juniors, so 16-year-olds from the public school department, the opportunity to take a studio course that emulates the experience of what happens in college.
I think part of the diagram that's interesting too is that the director is like it's changing every 4 years or so, right? So the curriculum is constantly changing, and in an ideal sense, just adapting with the times so that it doesn't, because
so it's fresh.
Like it's fresh, and it's a stark contrast to the architectural opportunities that students in DPS have if they don't attend ARC Prep, which are, to the best of my knowledge, largely drafting. So they're kind of preparing students with obsolete techniques for an obsolete kind of professional role. So it's kind of dark. So ARC Prep is just kind of foil to that. Among other things, it's a foil to that. The model that Anya was describing was the kind of like traditional studio model was first put in place by Milton Curry, who I think was the first director. And that was modeled off of the curriculum of first year studio at Cornell. So it was like a transplant of a curricular model that looks very different now. So each director brings their own kind of idea for how it best makes sense to teach high school students. And in our case, it's this PhDs who are helping to produce curricular content.
The big invention here is that it's a program that involves 16-year-olds, graduate students who are in their 20s, PhD students who are in their 20s and 30s, faculty at Taubman College, professionals in the field in Detroit. And then on top of all of that, there's a consortium of historically Black colleges that we also plug into, so that at the end, if they don't end up going to Michigan, there are other options for schools that would support them and mentor the college process. So the horizontality of that and the number of people involved is really radical. Public Design Corps is fresher, it's newer. So it was launched last year. So we're currently in its 2nd iteration. And essentially it is a clinical program where students work and partner with mission-driven organizations in order to produce an outcome over the course of a semester. And they work in teams that are self-organized. So students work in teams of maybe five, 6 students, cross-disciplinary, cross-program, and they decide and determine themselves how their schedule works. So there's no specific class time, but they self-manage, and they produce a series of deliverables that are assessed and determined with their partners. Their work is monitored by mentors. So for example, Jacob and I are mentors. We were sort of really committed to bridging between practice, field work, research, and academy in meaningful ways for both students and the faculty. I love the idea that these projects can address some of the rhetorical demagoguery of design for social good. That it's like, it's more nuanced, it's more complex. You don't just go out there and do good and everyone is so grateful and they give you a high five and you go home and you get a raise and you get a teaching job. It's not so easy. It's kind of horrific. The power dynamics are complex. The motivations of people to get in touch with each other and to deploy design as a tool, sometimes they're sinister, sometimes they're good-willed. It's complex. It's a complex world that architects and designers and urbanists inhabit, and it's not a clear and it's not a clearly defined system or process, and we don't always get to the common good.